Everybody, what's going on? It's Jamil Jude, your host for the True Colors podcast. And also, the best part is that I am the artistic director of True Colors Theater Company. Really excited to hang out with you guys today and talk a little bit about one of the signature programs of the True Colors Theater Company, and that is the August Wilson Monologue Competition that is now in its 14th year. We're going to talk a little bit about it with the coordinator of this year's competition, Miss Larsen Kennedy. She's going to join me today on the podcast. And you all know that with the time that we have at the end, I want to talk a little bit about some of the things that are happening out in the world. We always, try to speak as we can boldly about what's happening in our world. And there's so much to talk about. But y'all, season of joy and pain, we know that we have been talking about both sides of that thing. So let's spend some time talking about a little joy. Let's do the things. It's episode number 51, 1-5, flip it around for people. And let's get Larsen in, all right?
Take 5 deep breaths. 5 deep breaths. 5 deep breaths.
Can you hear me now?
I can now.
All right,
Hi.
here we go. Now we got technology wanted to hate on us. It's so good to see you.
You as well. Thank you for having me.
Well, Larsen, let's get right to it. Tell the people a little bit about yourself. Where are you from?
Well, my name's Larsen Kennedy. This year I'm the coordinator of the National August Wilson Monologue Competition. I live in the illustrious Forsyth County, Georgia, which is not a point of pride, but we're doing what we can to improve it day by day. I just graduated this past year from the University of North Georgia with a degree in interdisciplinary studies with a focus on humanities and social sciences. And I'm thrilled to be working at True Colors. It's been great, and I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, Larsen, we were introduced to you thanks to the amazing Nikki Toombs. Shout out to Nikki Toombs. But talk to us about how you first found True Colors, then your first opportunities to work with the company.
Well, of course, because I'm from Metro Atlanta, I've known about True Colors seemingly my entire adult life. It was one of the highlights of my exposure to Atlanta theater. But in regards to my personal connection to the company, we have to go back to the summer of 2019, which feels like it was eons ago. I had just finished the summer conservatory at the Stella Adler Studio of Acting in New York. And I came back and I thought, I have got to find something to do or I'm going to lose my mind. And I came across the application to the Four Directions Apprenticeship, which is a collaboration between True Colors, Art Station, Seven Stages, and Outfront Theater Company. I applied, was able to get an interview and an audition, and then went through that whole process and was lucky enough to be selected as one of the 4 members, along with Tyra Watkins, Robbie Miles, and Daryl Grant, of the inaugural company of the Four Directions Apprenticeship in the winter of 2019, which of course we now know was the calm before the storm. And luckily, I think, for me especially, but for all of us, our first stint at any of the theaters was with True Colors. So we got our full time with True Colors with Miss Nikki, the Director of Education. And it was wonderful, of course. And we had just moved to Seven Stages. And a week into our time there, everything shut down. And then we finished out our time with the apprenticeship. Wonderful. We worked remotely for Seven Stages. They were able to find us extra work over the summer, which we were very thankful for. And then in the fall of last year, I got a text from Miss Nikki one morning, and she asked me, would you be interested in a position at True Colors with Jamil? And I thought, oh! And I had been asleep when she texted me, and I thought, oh gosh, it's been an hour. I've missed out. I have to text her back right now. But I was lucky enough to be brought on as the leadership assistant last fall.
Right.
And I spent a couple of months doing some administrative work at True Colors, which I loved. It sounds crazy, but I love paperwork. It's one thing in my life I have control over. I can make sure that all the data is rectified. And then back in February, I was able to join in a different position as the national coordinator of the August Wilson Monologue Competition. So that's a great way to come full circle after working at the Atlanta Regionals with Miss Nikki last year, which of course was wonderful.
Right. So, what we love, y'all, today, my guest is Larsen Kennedy, who is doing some amazing work with us at True Colors. She's talking a little bit about just her connection to True Colors, growing up here in the Atlanta metro area, but also being part of the inaugural class of apprentice forward direction apprentices that a partnership True Colors has, a program True Colors has with a couple other theaters here in the area. So, you know, Larsen came to us and we were really thankful and happy that she had her first experiences with True Colors in that program. Then moving forward, we, you know, identified back then, Larsen has a really great way in which she works with students, communicates information, has a love for the work. You guys heard her passion. And as we started thinking about how does True Colors continue the administration of the national competition? So back 14 years ago in 2007, True Colors founded the August Wilson Monologue Competition, started by that time Todd Kreidler, who was August Wilson's dramaturg, Kenny Leon, of course, co-founder of the theater, and Dr. Chandrika Moss-Bolden, who worked in our education department, had this idea of how can we make sure that students in their high school years get exposed to the work of August Wilson. Larsen, in her experiences, she talked about knowing about True Colors when she was in her youth, and as well as working alongside Ms. Nikki Toombs and administering the Atlanta Regional Competition, had that same type of connection to the work and to the program that 14 years ago that was started. It just felt kismet to have Larsen and her skill set, her experience with the program match up and being able to help us coordinate the national program. What people may not know is that True Colors operates 60, y'all just see Journey. I don't know if y'all saw Journey coming here. She, of course, wants to say hi, and if she wants to say hi, we'll get some time to put her on. But True Colors operates a program that has 16 regional partners in North Carolina, Seattle, Portland, Boston, and of course, as soon as I start naming them, I'm not going to remember everybody. Some charges to my head, not my heart. Los Angeles, San Diego, I'm going to keep on trying. Dallas. But the program allows students to compete from those regional areas that then we would all descend in New York City on the August Wilson stage to share those monologues and compete for scholarship money. This year it's been a little different, though. This year we've had to coordinate all those things virtually. So Larsen and her skill set has helped us do that. Larsen, talk a little bit about how you have worked to help us translate what is a live medium where students get a chance to engage with the work, but try to maintain that same virtue in this virtual space.
What's been really interesting, I think, and I speak for, I think, a lot of the theater community as we've transitioned to become more of a digital art form, is how much of a connection you can still make even through a screen. Mm-hmm. It's almost, in certain aspects, I think a more personal experience if you're working with a coach, say, in a workshop, as opposed to when you have a workshop in person. When you're doing it virtually, there are no distractions. You can be alone in your space and make this connection just like we are right now. You don't have to consider who's looking at me, what am I doing, how's my hair, how's everything like that. It's very one-on-one, and it's concentrated. And that's been an interesting shift, I think, in the paradigm of theater education over the past year. In regards to the competition specifically, I've been surprised by how much actually directly translates and how much doesn't need to be changed. A lot of the information, even though it's being delivered in a different manner, and it's not delivered face-to-face, it's delivered virtually, is exactly the same. The tenets of the work are the same. The curriculum that surrounds the work is the same. We're working primarily with people who have worked the competition before and have their own personal experiences and have their own methods and methodologies around running the competition and teaching the works of August Wilson. So I would say what has been surprising and heartening and impactful for me is not what has changed, but what has stayed the same.
Mm.
Of course, we're all dealing with technical gremlins and Wi-Fi problems and all that, but it's been an interesting experience to say the least, and in a lot of ways, it is more alike than it is different from years past, at least in my experience, in whatever limited capacity I've had over the past 2 years working the competition.
No, I think that's really top notch there. That helping us understand that with the students, they have advantages here in this space with their coaching. It feels more personal, but body language still communicates. Eye contact, depth of character, and performance still communicates. What I'm really excited by, especially now that we have this medium and the world is a little flatter now, we're able to invite people that may not have otherwise made it to New York at the timeline that we were there to speak with the students. But we get some pretty cool people that are going to have a chance to speak to the students over the course of Nationals Weekend, which will take place May 1st through the 3rd. On the 1st and 2nd, these students from all these regional partners are going to spend 2 days getting some really cool master classes and panel conversations with some folks. You want to tell people a little bit about how you've helped structure this weekend?
My focus in structuring the educational programming surrounding the competition has been making sure that students are exposed to all facets of theater and art in general. I think too often we're hyper-focused on acting, and it becomes an issue of ego. And I think it leads to a lot of broken hearts when they leave educational theater and have to work in theater in the real world. And so much of what makes theater so impactful and so wonderful and such a great career choice is behind the scenes. It's dramaturgy, it's technical work, it's playwriting, it's directing. So as we've been planning our programming for National Finals Weekend, my focus has been on exposing students to as many facets of theater as possible and making as many connections with multifaceted professionals as possible. So that includes professors in entertainment law. It includes playwrights, it includes visual artists, of course it includes actors, some of which I think the students will be very excited to get to talk to.
I think we can say their names. I mean, they're locked in, they're official. We can share who's going to be speaking to the students.
I'm so excited. I can't tell you how excited I am about this. Our kind of highlight of the weekend, for me at least, is a panel we're calling August Wilson in the 21st Century, talking about the legacy of Wilson's work and how universal the themes are. On that panel are Dr. Sandra Shannon from the August Wilson Society, the founder of the August Wilson Society, who is just one of the leading experts in Wilson's work. Right. Ruben Santiago Hudson, who's a director of Wilson and a Wilson collaborator as an actor, very big in the New York theater scene. Super excited to have him. And I can't tell you, Jamil, how excited I am that Miss Felicia Rashad is going to be on our panel. I cannot wait. I can't wait. I remember going to Reinhardt University for my band LGPE in high school because I played clarinet because I was super cool.
I play clarinet too. Woo, woo.
Yeah! And every time we would be standing in a little hallway in the basement of Reinhardt University, and she had given a talk there at one point in the 90s, and there was a picture of her, and I remember just standing there staring at it and focusing on what I was meant to be doing. So I'm very excited about that. Additionally, we have playwrights that are joining for a panel, including Azaye Moon and Gabrielle Fulton Ponder. We're part of a playwriting commission series at True Colors that's very exciting. I'm very excited to include my institution of choice, the Stella Adler Studio of Acting, to discuss their work in social outreach, especially in the prison system and with formerly incarcerated people in New York City. So I think it'll be really interesting. I think there'll be a lot that students gain from these conversations, and hopefully we're able to include as many of the students' voices as possible in the weekend. We want to make sure that this is not something where they're just being talked at, but they're being talked to and talked with.
And that's,
so I think it'll be very valuable to them.
Yeah, you're bringing up such an important part. You know, one of the ways in which True Colors we try to thrive at the intersection of artistic excellence and civic engagement is what is in this space as well. It's not just on the main stage programming, but it also shows up in our education program, like you mentioned, Stella Adler, and the panel conversation that is about you know, art for social action is really focused in exactly on that. We are also looking to engage students around college choice. Not every student who is performing in the monologue competition has dreams and desires to go on to be a professional actor. They may, so let's talk to them about how they go and find colleges that work for them, but also what can this experience and this introduction for some to the arts mean for them in the rest of their lives, and how can they go about using that as they become professionals in their own right. So I'm really, really excited by what this is. This is now my second year running the competition as artistic director, but this is really our first opportunity to have the competition as well, because last year, of course, we all know that the competition was cut short through the pandemic, but we did host a virtual weekend for the students similar to this, but we've built it out in a really, really dynamic way. So I'm excited for that. Larsen, before I shift here, I want to talk a little bit about what can people expect from the national competition. This year, we will get to share the students competing on the national stage. Normally, we're in New York, and it's a live event. So, you know, of course, only the people who are there. But this year, we get to broadcast it to everyone, that they have a chance to enjoy it. What will people come to expect on Monday, May 3rd, when the students compete to win the National August Wilson Monologue Competition?
So across the country, we have about 50 students that will participate in the national round of the competition. We have a semifinals round, and from that 50, we'll get 16 of the best and brightest the United States educational theater programs have to offer. Included in that may be our 2020 finalists who weren't able to participate in the competition last year. So we're grateful to have them and give them that opportunity to compete this year. These 16 finalists will each perform a monologue from one of the 10 American Century Cycle plays by August Wilson. They can range from 1 minute to 3 minutes. And the students, what's so wonderful about the program is that the students aren't limited to choosing a monologue by a character of their race, of their gender identity, of their age group. So we see a lot of really diverse characterization being performed by such talented young people. To that end, though, everyone should be aware that Wilson's work stands in and of itself and will not be changed. So there is inflammatory language, there are charged themes, and that's something that we've been grappling with and teaching the students how to handle professionally and maturely, with the understanding that all art is political, right? What Wilson learned from Amiri Baraka, all art is political. So these students are handling very mature themes and very mature topics, but have done so and will continue to do so with incredible deftness and incredible skill and tact. In addition to the 16 performances by the students, we will be airing a video compilation of information from all the regional partners. As you said, we have 16 regional partners across the country, and included in that may be some AWMC alums who have gone on to do great things. We'd like to hear from as many students as possible in that video to talk about the impact the competition has had on them, what value they see in the competition, and to speak to just the history of the competition in each of the regions, because each region has their own connection. Many of them have produced Wilson works. Some of them worked with Wilson himself when he was alive and still creating his work. And they all have a different connection to the competition. Some have been doing it for over a decade, and some just joined last year. So there's incredible variety, and I think that will shine through on May 3rd. We hope to create an educational and entertaining night, one that's supportive of all students, even if they aren't one of our top 3 winners. We want to make sure that all work is celebrated. because it takes a great deal of bravery from these students, not only to perform Wilson's work, which is incredibly challenging. It's incredibly challenging for adult professional actors to perform Wilson's work. But then the added component of having to perform it virtually and not knowing who all is seeing their work. It's so tremendous an ask that we're making of these students, and we want to make sure that we're being as supportive as possible and giving them as many opportunities to showcase their incredible talent.
Yeah, it's going to be a really great way to wrap up this crazy year, but to really show how this thing has grown, and what started as an idea that has grown to a national competition where these students are really going to get to sing the song. Those of us who get to work in Wilson's work and who have identified as a Wilsonian soldier along the way, we talk about singing the song of Wilson, and it is always the highlight of the year when you see these young people land on the language, get the circumstances, and deliver these outstanding performances. I cannot wait to share that with you all. That'll be May 3rd. You'll get a chance to see that. We'll be sharing it out on social media like crazy as we lead up to that. Y'all, today my guest is Larsen Kennedy. She is the national coordinator for the August Wilson Monologue Competition here. And we spent some time talking about what people can expect and what the students can expect and why we do it. We do it for the students. We do it so that they can be introduced to the importance of Black storytelling. We do it so that they, as they are in these formative years, lock on to a different way of telling their story, exploring who they are and sharing that with the world. We talk about finding your voice inside of a monologue. These students get an opportunity to do it, and they're introduced to one great Black playwright in it, and we are just thankful. And Kenny, when he won his Tony, he said that he wanted to create programs where kids could have a little bit of theater in their everyday lives, and the August Wilson Monologue Competition has definitely been one of those ways that True Colors has done that for the last 14 years. Larsen, let's pivot a little bit. We find ourselves not just last summer, but in this moment right now, recognizing that the things that affect society also affect us in the theater. You mentioned a little bit in the fact that the August Wilson Monologue Competition, students from all ethnic backgrounds, all ways of life compete using the words of August Wilson in this case. And we are all talking about advocacy and social justice and change and things like that. When you look at the way in which theater can play a part in shifting conversations in this national dialogue, what role do you see the arts being able to do?
I think that art in general, and especially theater, provides such a rich connection to our own selves, our own emotional lives, our psyches. And I think that as we explore how theater can be used to either instigate social change, to propel social change, really the bulk of the work needs to be done, and there's the most potential in it being done with young people. I think using theater in education is an incredibly potent tool, not just in theater classes. I think that art in and of itself, art being emotional, art being political, these things are inextricable from human condition. And I think what we're dealing with are such universal issues that they are issues of the human condition. I think that as we move forward with creating equitable programs, it comes down to an issue of access. We need to ensure that everyone has equal access to opportunities in the arts so that art can be used as a tool to propel social justice and equality in general. I, of course, came from a position of immense privilege in that I had well-funded art programs in my school. I had access to extracurricular programs in the arts. But even for me, the most impactful people in my time as a student of the arts were people that I saw myself in. And I think that is the primary issue we're seeing now. Even when there are educational theater programs, for instance, offered to students, they may not see themselves in the people who are teaching them. So in addition to making sure that everyone has theater, we need to make sure that that program is one that students themselves will find value in, so that they become emotionally mature individuals who are prepared to tackle these incredibly complicated issues that will continue to plague us as we move forward. This isn't a one and done battle. It's something that we're going to have to keep facing, and hopefully each time we face it, we make progress. But saying, oh, that was an issue for last June means that we're becoming complacent. And I think that complacency is the enemy. When we say that oh, that's good enough, no, it's not. It's not good enough. And I think that art is a tool we all can use and we all should use to express how we feel, and express what we see as the way forward.
Right. Well, we can create the worlds to make it possible through art. Larsen, I'm loving what you're saying, and I'm loving how your focus is on the young people, because as we say, like, hey, if art has an opportunity to change, and that power to change, the young people are so moldable, and they have so much potential over the span of their life, that giving those young people power in those days, believing in worlds, seeing the possibilities, inventing new realities, the results will blow our minds, and that's what I'm excited by when we talk about how art can play a dynamic role for these young people. We also speak, we have been speaking for the last year around radical reinvention, especially as art communities and communities in general try to rethink their way forward, that new way of being, like you talked about. You have grown up in Atlanta metro area, but in a more rural part of that. And you think about radical reinvention, and you close your eyes and envision a community, be it your own or a larger community. And we think about the power of the arts to radically reinvent the world that's around us. As you close your eyes and think about radical reinvention, Larsen, share back with us, what do you see?
I think, as I was speaking to earlier, it all comes down to an issue of access, and making sure that no student is excluded from any opportunity on the basis of race or gender identity or class, or even intellectual level. I think too often when we speak of arts education, arts aren't as valued perhaps as core classes, and are seen as expendable, and too many students are taken out of art programs in favor of other classes, other opportunities, and I think that is a grave misstep. And speaking of art as a tool for social change in general, I think that we as art professionals, as theater makers, need to focus on the difference between art and fine art. I think too often there is this idea that in order to be valuable, art has to be great, it has to be lauded, it has to be a certain kind of art. And I think that is incredibly limiting. I think that it is so disheartening for so many people. In our society, so many things are commodified, and I worry about art being commodified as opposed to just being kind of an intrinsic part of what makes us human. I think all of us are creative, and too often we think, I myself will say, I can't draw. But what I mean is I can't draw well. I can't draw well enough that I can sell my art, but I can draw. Everyone can draw. It's just like saying everyone can sing. Is everyone going to be Pavarotti? No, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't sing, and that doesn't mean you shouldn't draw. And we can use that as maybe a synecdoche for the human condition in general, just because I may not have all the answers now about what we need to do as a society, what we need to do for perhaps racial reconciliation, for greater access to healthcare, to education, all these great big issues. Just because I don't have all the answers now doesn't mean I should stop looking for them. Doesn't mean we should stop trying. I think that too often we live in a society that values product but doesn't value process. And in providing arts education, we provide students an opportunity to learn how to thrive in the process as opposed to focusing on the product.
Guys, I tell you, this is why we love having Larsen around, because of just the way she is thinking and sharing around the value of art. Art is not just valuable at a specific level, and by whose standards are we judging that level? But art is valuable because of its ability to be fully accessible. And how can we make art more accessible to more people because of its ability and power to change? If we start to put structures in place and we start to reduce our ability to touch as many people as possible, we make art a commodity. We make art only something for the elitists, and then we use it as a way to segregate and separate one another. And I'm really thankful for you sharing that, Larsen, as it that idea rolls around in your head, that of radical reinvention, increasing access and increasing the desire of more people to see themselves as artists, as art makers, as creative, really allows us to harness that type of change. So thank you for sharing that. I want to give a quick shout out to Kaya. Thank you. I appreciate the donation. Thank you. True Colors appreciates the donation. We always appreciate anybody who supports the work that we do. Larsen, man, it has been a week. It has been a month. It has been a year already in 2020. It's tiring. It's frustrating to keep going through it, but we know that to find joy is an act of revolution. And the more joy that we can practice, we have to believe in its cosmic power to help push us towards healing. What types of things are bringing you joy these days?
Oh, you're gonna think I'm such a grandma. I'm 22 and my favorite thing to do is crochet. I have been making so many hats, and it's such a shame that it's getting warm out because I can't make things for people anymore. But that's what I've been doing for most of my spare time. We've been watching a lot of movies. I love being able to turn my brain off for an hour and a half. And I love my pets. We have 4 dogs. We have a dog that we're fostering, so we have 5 right now. And we have 3 cats and a kitten we're fostering. And a cockatoo who is the bane of my existence, but I wish him well from afar. So that a lot of my time is dedicated to taking care of them, but they're a lot of fun, and it's inspiring in a strange way when you can think about how minute my problems, like, oh, I have to fill out this form, I have to get it in by midnight, my dogs don't care about that. You know, they don't care. They're just happy to see me. They're happy to see us. They like to eat and sleep and play, and I think we should all maybe aspire to be more like that.
Yeah, there's something to be said about that. Yeah, whenever Journey's like, hey, you want to play? And I'm like, oh, Journey, I can't right now. And then she asks me why. Every time it's like, one, I have to really ask myself, well, why can't I?
Why?
And
right.
Then, the other times it just breaks my heart. Saying like, oh, well, there's this other thing that I have to do. And just as much as she leans into joy, that definitely brings me a lot of joy. So, Larsen, this has been extremely enjoyable. I appreciate you joining in. I appreciate you talking about what people can look forward to for the 14th annual August Wilson Monologue Competition, True Colors high school monologue competition that we produce, and what can students look forward to, and who they get a chance to speak to, and what they get a chance to learn, as well as the event on May 3rd that'll be streamed everywhere. So more support on that soon. But Larsen, thanks.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for hiring me.
No, man, you're great. Uh, all right. I think you have to hit the X. I don't know how to. I've never know
I
how to get
got
people on things.
Thanks. Bye.
Yo, one of the things that I have, I was asked earlier this week, like, hey, when you took the job at True Colors, did you take it because of the high school monologue competition? And I said, of all the things that I wanted to get here, I wanted to move back down south. So I wanted to move to Atlanta. I wanted an opportunity to work alongside Kenny. I wanted an opportunity to work inside of a Black theater, knowing that my work up until that point had always been about trying to find spaces for Black art in predominantly white institutions to devote myself fully to supporting a Black arts organization. I was really excited by that. And but once I learned about the impact of the students and the outreach and what students go on to do because of their engagement in a program like this, I've started to see that, hey, this is where it's at. It's an envisioning future. It's for students, is where the work is at. Um, and being that we have been spending so much time over the last couple of months in investing in our young people, whether it's all this is through our director of education, Nikki Toombs, but be it our partnership with SMU and Clark Atlanta University, whether it be the apprenticeship program that Larsen came out of, whether it be our internships for for college students, or specifically with our work with the high school monologue competition with these high school students. We are pouring so much and giving so much. The power of Black storytelling, sharing it with these youth, has been an inspiring part of what I get to call my day job. So it breaks my heart to see how young Mr. Wright was in Minnesota. I've spoken to you all. I moved here right from Minneapolis, St. Paul. So what happened to George Floyd, what has happened to Philando Castile while I lived there, and countless others, as well as what I just saw happen to Mr. Wright, it's hitting me in a space that I just have to bring honor to. And when I see it happen to somebody, it shouldn't happen to anybody, but people so young, um, I I get nervous. I get scared. I wonder about our students and how much joy they find in their finding their voice as they are working with these teaching artists and in these 16 cities. We're trying to onboard 3 cities next year. So in 19 cities across the country, we have teaching artists imbuing uh, what they know about performance and about culture and about life and about experience and all the things that art is, giving this over to these amazing 14 to 18 to 19 year olds, these kids in their high school years. And I think about all of that joy that these students are finding in um, the fact that for so many of them, especially the Black and brown ones, that that joy isn't shared, that the desire to preserve that joy inside of them, like we all aren't dedicated to that same thing. It's heartbreaking. It's really heartbreaking that in the what's playing out, that there's a defense team working so hard to prove the innocence of somebody, that when the world watched what happened to Mr. Floyd, we all knew that that person was wrong. There are people committed to fighting back and telling all of us what we saw was untrue. There are people advocating always that the preservation of the feelings and efforts and egos of a few mean more than supporting, welcoming, sharing, giving to the masses, loving, protecting the masses. It's been a disheartening week to see that play out. I'm thankful for you all. I'm thankful for the competition because giving back to these high school students and seeing how it can benefit them is the joy. I hope that you all are trying to find joy in your daily life. Let's practice that. Let's really push back against all of the things that are trying to deaden that for us and within us. Um, I'm so grateful to be in this position, to be your artistic director. So thank you for trusting in me. Thank you for your support, continued support of True Colors Theater. Things that you can do to go out and support. Hey, community conversations are coming up. So please check that out. Check out the community conversations. Go to our website, truecolorstheater.org, to look at that. We have a Concert for Unity in partnership with the Atlanta Opera that you can go and check out. Hey, just go over to our website, learn more, figure it out, drop down under our work. You'll see all of the amazing things that we have coming up. And again, the 14th annual August Wilson Monologue Competition will be on May 3rd. So thanks to Larsen. Thank you for checking it out. And I will see you next week for episode number 52 of the True Colors podcast. Peace.